go to the other side. Let's go to the other side. Great balls of sympathy. Great balls of sympathy. Brother Jim, give to me. Brother Jim, give to me. I don't need them anymore. Someone knocking at my door. I don't need them anymore. Someone knocking at my door. Take my hand, you might as well. We're gone straight to hell. I don't wanna hang around. Watch us sitting on the ground.
Thanks. Good night. See you later.
You are listening to the Brian Turner Show.
Program, The Brian Turner Show, BrianTurnerShow.com. We pump it out every 2 weeks here on the airwaves, the net waves, and it's also airing the following Wednesday on Efra Gang, and also Thursday on Veveno, and you can hear those both live at 10 a.m. Eastern on those days. Just go to BrianTurnerShow.com for all the links and such. And we just heard 2 tracks from Sonic Youth, and the auspicious occasion is that we are going to take a special show and do a little bit of a deep dive into some outlying and not so well known, soon to be well known maybe, tracks from the band who we've done this in the past with The Fall and Will Sargent, and it's well about time we check in to some Sonic Youth stuff. And we are joined by none other than my friend across the river, Steve Shelley from Hoboken. Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Brian.
Yeah, we've been doing lots of radio, huh? Over the last year or so. Steve is also a DJ on Veveno. And
That's right.
When is that show?
Our show is on Fridays around 12:30 Eastern Time, and that's with my friend, a musician and producer, Paulo Kishimoto.
Cool. Hello, Paulo. Hello, Rafa, and everybody down there who tunes
Yeah.
in. It's been a lot of fun. And we're going to dig into some of these tracks. And, you know, I've been a little bit of a Sonic Youth archivist through the years, for sure. And I always love throwing down with Steve and asking him about stuff. So as of late, Steve has been pretty busy getting the band's Bandcamp going. And there's tons of stuff up there if you haven't checked it out. These days, it's not like when I used to walk into Pure Platters and grab those weird Sonic Youth 7 inches and oddball, non-label things that used to come out. But now everything's up there. And that's been going for a little while, right, Steve?
Yeah, I guess I really got into it last summer during this COVID extravaganza that's been going on.
And it's lots of live stuff, and you know, Thurston and Lee both have their own kind of side ones too. They've been building up some of their, you know.
Yeah, we have a tape archive. You know, ever since I joined the band, we recorded almost every night that we played, if we could. So, you know, we started off with taping on cassette, and you know, and as the eras changed, the formats changed. So, you know, it moved to DATs and then to CDRs, and then eventually to hard disk, you know, with multi-track taping.
And there's lots of cool rarities up there too. I think there's 3 volumes of Bandcamp albums worth of this stuff. And for a while you were actually streaming that stuff. You were doing kind of like your own digital mixtape on the site as well, right? So there's a lot of stuff floating around on that.
That's right. Originally we had what we called a mixtape on the sonicyouth.com website, and every few months, or at least that was the idea, was every few months, Aaron Mullen, who was the band's longtime engineer, and myself would put up you know, some things that, you know, were sort of rare or maybe people hadn't heard.
And the reception has been pretty good, right? A lot of fans are getting, not only through that, but through Bandcamp, getting access to a lot of this material. And you've also been doing a lot of kind of post-band actual releases, too, like the Smart Bar 85 show and some other stuff, too.
Yeah, we're trying to get into the physical realm, but with the vinyl crisis that's going on, it's hard to get LPs pressed. So we're working on it, on getting you know, some of these titles that some of the fans are asking about pressed up on vinyl.
Cool. Well, we're going to take a spin through some of this stuff. I kind of picked it all out, but Steve contributed as well. So we both kind of brushed up on some of these recordings. And I'm happy to say that I've been asked several times to help out and do some notes and even some tapes once in a while. I threw in that track you just heard. Well, we heard 2 tracks, Brother James and Kill Your Idols, taken from a Denver 86 show, which we grabbed off a soundboard tape. I used to just trade them in the mail through Goldmine magazine. Everybody kept like a physical list of tapes, and that was one I really liked a lot. So I threw that at Steve. His guitars and everything sounds so gnarly on that one. And that came out in the Bandcamp as well, so you can find it. It's the Denver show from July 1986. And that was chock full. I mean, not only Evol stuff, but lots of pretty cool oldies. And we heard Brother James and Kill Your Idols. And do you have any memories of that gig?
I have no memory of that gig. You know, it was it was fun researching it when you passed on that tape to me, and I tracked down the owner of Wax Trax record store in Denver, and he actually had photos of that gig, you know, and even seeing that gig and like hearing the name of the venue, it was just a total blank. But I'm glad that you sent it my way, because it is a fun gig to hear.
Yeah, and Thurston's been pulling out some of those chestnuts too on this last tour you did with him, with Ernie Brooks, right?
That's right. On the last tour, the last couple songs of the night would be, this is a Thurston solo tour. Last songs of the night would be Burning Spear and Kill Your Idols, which we haven't played together in quite a while.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And
Ernie had never heard these songs before, so it was kind of fun teaching him what we considered to be oldies, and to Ernie it was totally new.
Yeah, Ernie was great in that band too, on that short tour, which was just a few weeks ago. And behind that, we heard another one that was pre-Steve. That was a really early gig from the Kitchen, right, when Sonic Youth was starting out. The World Looks Red, which I know you played through the years as well. And Sclavunas was on drums for that, right? Before Bob.
Yeah, it's such a great recording of that Kitchen gig in '82. Yeah,
and that was probably one of the really early gigs. They weren't even going out of town yet, right? I think there's like a North Carolina show early on with Swans, but I think that one was pretty early in the years, probably.
I'd say so.
Yeah, cool. So when did you join in? You came in 1985.
Yeah.
Were you doing a U.S. tour with them, or did you go right overseas with them?
My first tour was a U.S. tour, and that included it's funny because we headed straight to the Midwest, and it was sort of my old stomping ground, and I saw a lot of musicians and friends, you know, with this new band that I was with called Sonic Youth.
Yeah, is that where you first met them when they came through Michigan early on?
No, I met Thurston and Lee at CBGB's when the Crucifix had played a hardcore matinee there. I'm not sure, but it probably was '84.
Right. And then after that, they just basically showed up from Europe, and Bob had left, and you joined up in '85, and the rest is history, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, we're going to hear another track from the archives. This one, actually, I remember when I was in school, this came in as a promo 12-inch from Enigma, but it's such a great live track. It was on the flip side of Candle from Daydream, and this is a live 85 version of Ghost Bitch, which is really a notable song because I think whenever they played it, Lee just kind of feeds back on a big hollow acoustic guitar, so one of the few times that would pop into the gig. And were you in this tour yet, or was Bob still on this one, do you think?
No, this was with me, and this would have been my second time out to California with the band, and we flew out especially for this gig, and it was the last Desolation Center gig by Stuart Sweezy, and it was in a big warehouse in downtown LA, and that's when downtown was totally empty in the '80s, especially at nighttime. And that was with the Swans and Sonic Youth, or with Saccharine Trust, and so it was a very memorable gig. And I'm actually looking for a tape of the full set by Sonic Youth of that night.
And those Desolation Center gigs are pretty legendary. There's a film out now that Stuart Sweezy did about the band, although Steve wasn't in it yet. They went out to the middle of the Mojave, played this insane kind of couple days with Red Cross and a bunch of other bands out there, Meat Puppets, and there's a pretty great documentary about that. I think it's streaming, right? You can get that still. I
think so, and it's on DVD now. It's a great film if you haven't seen it yet. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, just called Desolation Center, right? Mm-hmm. And it really was like a precursor to, you know, Burning Man and Coachella, but done like with no money or
or the indie version and the '80s indie version before these festivals kind of grew up.
Right, people taking acid and getting lost in the desert, and then watching these amazing bands. You should definitely check out the gig. So let's check out this from 1985, and we'll be back. We're going to play some other stuff, and then later we're going to play some stuff more Steve-centric, some odd turns off the main road with him. So stay tuned, and we will be back.
Feel the touch of my hand. got your cotton crown.
Dance, a dance to dancing, to German prancing, to fucking France and all the rest. A dance to decadence, a dance to the train that runs through my mind, searching for the snake running into my behind. A dance, a fairy dance, a dance that will surf into man's hole, a dance that will turn man's hole into man's soul, a dance to all the dead people who say, hey, don't forget, we are the ones who create the earth's sweat. A dance, a muddy fucky dance, a muddy track, a muddy slice into the crack of God's Homo sapien whack. Oh yes, the flowers, they will grow and they will show us how to blow in the wind like a Dylan fug, like a fuggy wug, like the sky will come down and rain the mud, the muddy tracks, the muddy wax. Oh yes, a dance, a fucky wucky dance, a dance to America's plastic holes in the skies, in Judy's eyes, Judy in disguise. Ooh, yeah, oh yeah, you know I dance to the film that captures my fucking million ants crawling through the rocks of my prehistoric mind. To a dance to the teeth that are in the bucket of my head. A dance to the puppet of meat that sways its head over to its feet and sneezes, hello, I love you, won't you tell me your beautiful fucking name, you American insane chicks and dicks. Together we will click into the great golf ball in the sky. Dance, 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 and die!
This song is called Merry Christ. Just out in the breeze, that'll be in the trees. So sweet. Along comes Merry Christ. It's going high. And it feels so yeah, I know. I can't wait. Now we go. Remember you on a hot day. Living in the sinking tides. Blue spirit spies into my life. Wraps my head in skin. Says now I'm in. You can't be sin. Yeah, I know. Sing that good song. Now we go. Remember the captain come. Angel on a double skirt. Buys me a shirt. Says I hope you like. Never know. I hope you like. The time is full. No one waiting so long. Gotta go. Come ready to come along. Just out in the breeze, I'll be in the trees. Along comes Merry Christ. Get light, something's going high. And it feels so right. Cannot to take. Here we go. I'm looking up the fuck's sake. You know it's not that Christ. It's a better nice. It's a super spice. Angel in a devil's skirt. Buys me a shirt. Says I hope you like. Yeah, I know. Waiting so long. Gotta go. For me to come.
We're back. Steve Shelley's hanging out. We're playing some of these sonic chestnuts through the years, not so chronological, but zipping back and forth, I guess, to try to make the sets flow or whatever. But we're giving them to y'all. That was a great version of Merry Christ from 1990 out on the Goo tour. And a couple of those songs I think came out as Dirty Boots promo, right? I think from that show.
Yeah, there was a Dirty Boots EP that had maybe 5 live songs on it from that gig, and we had always liked that gig, and so eventually we were able to put out the whole thing.
And that video for that song, there's basically a whole Goo collection of videos, song per song. You had a lot to do with that video, right? Your credit as director on that.
Right. Yeah, I filmed the video for that song with Super 8 and back in those days, these pixel cameras were kind of a toy artifact, and I used one of these toy cameras to make that film, that video.
And then behind that, we heard Non-Metal Dude Wearing Metal Tee, which I believe was like a Forced Exposure Club 7-inch or something like that.
Yeah, it was the second 7-inch that the band did with the Forced Exposure guys.
And it appears to be a early version of Eliminator Jr. from Daydream, right?
Yeah, and that's I guess recorded a few months before we recorded the studio version. So we're still, knocking it about and learning how to put it together. I think you can hear Lee screaming, "What's going on?" before we get into the groove.
Some ZZ Top reference there, right? Definitely a kind of a ZZ Top riff anyway on that song.
Yeah, when that riff came about in practice, I think we were sort of like, well, can we really make a song with this? Because to us it was so ZZ Top, but it became a favorite though.
Where were you doing all those Daydream jams? You had a place, I think, on Ludlow, right? When you were with that stuff.
Yeah, that would have been below where is Max Fish still there? It was in that area.
And then behind that, I think it's maybe my favorite sister track done live, a really great version of Cotton Crown. That was a London gig and a pretty legendary one too at that.
Yeah, we actually had multicam recording that night and multi-track recording going on. So we were able to record everything, and that was the night that Iggy just so happened to sit in with us and play I Want to Be Your Dog at the end of the night. So this is earlier in the show. That's
on YouTube. I think it aired on Snub TV or something, but that's an awesome set. And I think, did this come out as a single too, this live version? I think floating around, there was a live Cotton Crown single, I think, somewhere around the line.
I think so. I forget exactly how we put it out. Maybe it was through our fan club or something like that.
Yeah, but, that's right.
There was a Brigitte Bardot in a nun's habit on the cover. The cover of the 7-inch.
That's the one. Yeah, awesome live version. And then we heard the Ghost Bitch version behind that. I really love like the 87 era of Sonic Youth a lot too. I mean, the shows were, Sister really was kind of like a step out from Evol, but also, just so much more like a live band you guys had become. And I loved, the SST era, and I will stand behind it. That I think one of my biggest influences about why I wanted to do radio a certain way was the Master Dick 12-inch, the whole collage business.
Oh, that's great.
It just kind of like reflected a side of, the band throwing like all this stuff in its subconscious, and, kind of like the Teenage Riot video or something in a way, but it was just like so amazing to hear like all these things tossed onto one side. And then after that, we're going to hear this great Brixton Academy gig from 92 for Dirty. And it's one of my favorite Sonic Youth songs too. It's a Lee song that was off of not on Dirty, rather, but it was it came out as a promo or something later on. But you guys were dragging some great bands around at this point, and I think Pavement opened that gig too, right?
That's right, for the Brixton gig. Yeah, we had done a whole European tour with them.
Yeah, and I think there was a bootleg of the show, or it came out eventually. So we're going to hear Genetic, this Lee song, and then after that, I'm going to play some Disappears, which was Steve's kind of millennial step out. Although this record just came out last year, we're going to hear something from this collaboration. Why don't you tell us? It's with you and Disappears, and then White Light, and recorded in 2009, though, but it came out just now, right?
Yeah, it's another thing that came about during the pandemic, where we had this recording and finally had the time to get together and say, let's make a double record of this. But this was just a fun recording that Jeremy Lemos, who was a member of Sonic Youth's crew, and he's also a member of White Light, a drone duo from Chicago. He invited me to come to his studio and play with the Disappears and White Light, and I had not joined Disappears at this point, so it was just a big jam recording session of 7 musicians, and it came out really well, and we mixed it at the Sonic Youth studio with John Congleton, who's a really excellent mixing engineer or producer. And oddly, Brian, you were involved because that night you called me and said, is there any way we could go see Van Halen at Cafe Wah? And so we actually made a few phone calls and wound up in the basement of at Cafe Wah and caught a Van Halen set in the middle of mixing this Bizarro record.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was literally the gig of my life. We were sitting in a room like half the size of Maxwell's, and Van Halen had their entire PA with David Lee Roth, and it was just incredible. So imagine how different the mix would have turned out if you mix this album the day after you saw Van Halen.
It was such a fun night. I guess I won't forget that night.
I kind of demanded Steve make calls to go get us into Van Halen, so thank you for that. I will never.
Oh yeah, and it was amazing that it worked. We really didn't think it would work.
Good times. All right, well, let's check out this track, Disappears, Steve Shelley and White Light. And this record's actually available right now. Is it on the SY Bandcamp, or you have to go to Vampire Blues to get it?
Vampire Blues Bandcamp.
This is called Genetic. That I've come to when I think of all the things that you do. I can't see if you're the only one. It's hard to say, and I think it's all the same to me today. I can see it too, and it's him I'm thinking of. We sit alone, no one else at home. I see it, I feel, and now I know it's true. Your genetic kiss to me, I live inside of you. I have heard it said before, it'll never happen. Had it drilled in since a kid, makes my head spin. Now I'm looking for these friends I can't find. Thoughts just come and go and swirl into my mind. I can't see you too. If I could just see you this one time. We sit alone, no one else at home. I see it, I believe, and now I know it's true. Your genetic history, I live inside of you. Hey baby, it's you I'm thinking of. Hey baby, who do you love? Don't worry baby, I'm watching even as you sleep. Let me whisper some things for you to keep. There's no perfect idea, there's no perfect fate, just little stabs at happiness, sometimes a little too late. So keep your eyes wide open and know what you're made of. Remember, first thought, best thought. Try to stay in love.
we're back on the program. Once again, joined by Steve Shelley. We just heard something from Disappears along with him and White Light. Once again, out on his own Vampire Blues label. And that's available right now. You can get that LP. It just came out. Steve keeps pretty busy as well with side projects. You have a history of some other bands as well that I'm going to spin next. Man, the Crucifix, what can be said about that band besides legend? How did you get in that band?
I guess I at that point in my life, I was visiting East Lansing a lot, and there was this cool little club called Club Doobie that we would go to and see bands. And oddly, I saw Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers at this club. And I guess in that time, the bass player who became the bass player of the Crucifix and I met this character named Doc Dart. And he seemed a lot older than us, but he was just a few years older. And he came up to Midland, Michigan, where Scott and I lived at the time, and brought a friend playing guitar. His name was Terry. I forget his last name. But that was the germ of the Crucifix. And then we started driving down to East Lansing and playing with Doc. And he was an extreme character, and it resulted with extreme music.
Yeah, did you guys tour around a lot?
We did tour a bit. The Dead Kennedys and especially Jello Biafra got wind of us, and they would invite us from time to time to play shows. So we did a West Coast tour with the Dead Kennedys, which was pretty amazing. And then we also got invited to do this Rock Against Reagan tour, and that was with MDC and the Dicks.
Wow.
And that was quite an education. We were not all the bands, but our band was in a school bus riding around with a bunch of yippies who were in charge of the tour, and it was a strange group of people.
Wow. Did you play with the Butthole Surfers at all? Because they were on Alternative Tentacles around that time too, I think.
I don't think I met them at that time, although I did meet the Big Boys and Scratch Acid and Meat Joy, who would become lifelong friends, the members of Meat Joy.
Oh yeah, I know you're a big Meat Joy fan. I didn't realize they were part of that.
Yeah, so I met all of those folks first time that I went through Texas and played with this tour.
All right, we're going to hear this track, Similar Items, recorded back in '84 with Steve on the drums. And then we're going to hear a track from a Michigan band that you had even earlier. I love so much, Strange Fruit Abiku, or just Strange Fruit in some circles. And this goes back to '83, this track here. And what's the story behind them, Steve?
That was a group that was based in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And it was led by a bass player who played a 3-string bass. His name was Mike Love, and a singer named Sherry Fight, and another Midland friend, Tim Folion, brought me into this group. And we were lucky to record with Dave Rice, the guitarist of L7, the Detroit L7, in his band's practice space called the Clubhouse. And so this 7-inch kind of came from part of that session that Dave recorded. And
you later started a band with Tim as well, right, during Sonic Youth era.
We had a $2 guitar for a long time.
Right, yeah. All right, we're going to hear that, and then we're going to dig in some other stuff after that, and we'll come back and chat up that stuff. Stay with us. We're in a Sonic Youth archive dive right here on the program. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Once again, the show is up on Mixcloud, and you can download it on Apple Podcasts, and you can listen live once again on Efrela Gang and Veveno, and they archive it as well. Efrela Gang puts the show up on YouTube, so you can dig into there. But let's check this out: the Crucifix, Strange Fruit, and onwards. Brian with Steve here on the program.
Are there any clean washcloths, dear? this ashtray in about half an hour. Should this glass be sitting on this particular corner of the table? Say that pencil! I used to have one just like it. Say that pencil! I did. I had one just like it! A clean towel is in the closet! A clean towel is in the closet! This is a wonderful day. The shelf is nailed to the wall. This is a wonderful day. I wish my mommy would come. Ugly towel is in the closet. Ugly towel is in the closet. I see fashionable people at the punk shows. A slam dancer stepped on my foot. I didn't happen to like it too much. They're so masculine, I'll tell you.
On top of a hill, people are calling wild yells for help. I'm going towards a hot, sweaty, headless rock. When you could be helping the ill. Half the staff have been fired to live on unemployment. Even the master of the chapel. But all the patients are still there in the 3 stories of mass confusion where yells and screams all are noted. But all the patients are still there in the 3 stories of mass confusion where yells and screams are not
And now we're going to go from one classic American song to another. Here's I Want to Be Your Dog.
So, mister, I want you here.
Hi, I'm Julie.
And I'm Kim.
And you know, our favorite guitar pedal when we're on the road is definitely this new grunge pedal. Hey, Kim, what sound do you like?
Well, I personally like the Melvin sound, you know, face down, butt all the way up.
Oh, man. I personally prefer the Napalm Death sound myself.
I know, which sound do you go for, Mark?
I think I like the Accused sound.
I've got to turn on my grunge pedal.
I love grunge. I love grunge. Nancy Sponge. I love grunge.
Like pussy, kitten isn't just a state of mind. It's a place to be, drawls Julie Kafritz. Sprawled languorously across a fuzzy pink divan, smoke from her omnipresent Marlboro wreathing her head like an Angora turban, Miss Kafritz knows whereof she speaks.
High school society. High school society.
The kitten idea came together in early 1992, Ms. Kafritz continues. Kim Gordon and I were sick to death of seeing the same swinging dicks on stage in every club every time we went out. So we decided to do something to make the boys a little uncomfortable.
If being tough is the thing to do, then I should put an end to you. Kill Someone You Hate by Jeff McDonald. Smashing windows with a baseball bat, burning people that you hate is a feeling that is great. For a feeling that is great, go and kill someone you hate. Do it now, don't hesitate. Go and kill someone you hate.
Early live gigs were rare, but those that occurred drew squeals of delight, dribbles of seed, quivers of fear, and shudders of disbelief from all who were lucky enough to attend them.
We Don't Need Freedom by Jack Brewer. We don't need freedom. We don't need freedom. We don't need freedom. Freedom is what ruined your brain with creativity, drugs, and pain. Freedom is what let you run wild. Explain freedom to your fatherless child. We don't need freedom, do we now? Freedom preaches disobedience, idiot rebellion, false allegiance, pride, waste, lust, and greed. We're free to obey all of these. Comfortably, that's how we'll be. Enough from you, plenty from me. We won't need actors and rock stars. All we'll want is farmers and soldiers. Destroy Exxon by Circle One. I don't want to fight for Exxon. I don't want to be a puppet on a string. See the blood flowing like oil wells while the rich make money off me. Fight for Exxon, lose your life, play their game. They call it war, self-destruct, your mission's through. Fight for Exxon, lose your life, play their game. They call it war, self-destruct, your mission's through. No more bullshit, no more lies. We only want truth. We only want our lives. No one wants war, and no one wants death. I don't want to die. I just want to live. No fascism, no jail for innocents, no police brutality, no stupid wars, more social welfare. Think about your people. Think about America, 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 American.
Now it's your turn to dive into the heart of Kitten. You've never heard such sounds in your life. Get a grip, you lucky fucks.
Keep rolling.
right, we're back digging into some sonic rarities and nuggets. We just heard there a couple tracks from a semi-official boot that the band put out on its Goofin label, and it was a gig at Cabaret Metro in Chicago. Came out as a record called Hold That Tiger, with Bob Burt and Julie Kafritz from Pussy Galore on the cover to confuse record shoppers even more. But a really ripping show. I love it's just like totally in the red. And they rounded it off with a whole chunk of Ramones covers, a couple of which that we heard today, Your Love Tomorrow the World and Beat on the Brat. Was that a staple of the sets back on that tour, Steve? Were you doing Ramones tunes a lot?
It was. Oddly, that U.S. tour, the Ramones encore became a thing, and I think we did that nightly.
And it really just reminded everyone that, like, as artful and such as Sonic Youth was, you're like New York punk band loves Ramones. Like, who doesn't love the Ramones?
Yeah, I think it was sort of a response to being called an arty group, you know, and I think to some degree we were like, well, we're a rock band, like, you know, a New York rock band, like the Ramones.
No qualms about that. And I think that you fixed it up a little for Bandcamp too. That Hold That Tiger boot is on Bandcamp.
That's right. When that record was initially released, it was 60 minutes on one LP, and so it was really crammed. The grooves were really crammed, and I think it was sped up a little bit. And finally, this edition on Bandcamp, the pitch was finally corrected after decades. So it should sound the best it's ever sounded there on Bandcamp now.
Yeah,
and I should mention it was recorded by a tape trader and recording engineer, Adam Jacobs, who still to this day is recording gigs in Chicago. He's quite an archivist and quite a person.
And behind that, you know, I'll talk forever about this one, but I'll try not to. But you guys went into John Peel's show, 88 or 89, and ripped out 4 fall songs. Well, 3 fall songs plus Victoria, which the Fall covered from the Kinks.
That's right.
And that came out as a Goofin label, 12-inch back in 1990. I don't even know if that thing's still floating around or how else you can hear this thing. But we heard a live version of the Fall's Rouch Rumble. And I'm guessing that you guys probably, you know, came in knowing John Peel loved the Fall and obviously big Fall fans in your band as well. But how did that actually come about?
I think so. That's exactly it. You know, John was such a big Fall fan, and we thought we'd give him another Fall session. I guess it was very lighthearted and not mean-spirited at all, but just we thought it would be something different to do rather than just rehash some of our current tunes. And we had to learn the songs in the studio that day. And I remember the engineers not being too happy with us because they were all on this timetable, and a lot of it was revolving around pub time, where you could take a break and have a beer. But Epic Soundtracks, our good friend, was there with us, and he was helping us decipher Marky Smith's English because it was a bit foreign to us, and so you can hear him coaching us on some of the songs, like My New House. I think you can hear Epic's voice.
Yeah, the BBC engineers are just like they're old school. You come in and you have your stuff together, I guess. So
yeah, they didn't like it when we came in, and usually we were a bit disheveled. The next session we came in with nothing written, and we were like, oh, we're just going to write 3 spontaneous compositions, and they weren't happy with that one either. but they did air it though.
That's cool. So what was that, like 88, 89? You were over there after Daydream and did it?
Yeah, this one, yeah. This, I'm assuming it's 88, 89. I actually don't have the date in front of me on this one.
And as a quick aside, when I did my fall show back at WFMU, Steve came in with Mark Eibold and Pete Nolan and Peter Meehan and who else am I missing?
Maybe Aaron Mullen on that one too.
Aaron Mullen, and somebody else played keyboards too.
Was it James Canty?
It was James Canty, right. And they knocked through 6 fall songs. I'll have to put up a link for that too on this show because it was pretty damn awesome. Spectre Folk.
Yeah, Spectre Folk did a fall session at your old station.
Yeah, cool. And behind that, we heard something from a Dave Markey film, just to throw in some interim stuff called Grunge Pedal. And then behind that, we heard your amazing night music performance back in '89. I Want to Be Your Dog, although slightly chopped off at the end just as all hell was breaking loose. But you guys did 2 songs on NBC TV, your first national TV appearance.
That's right.
And Hal Wilner set that up.
He did. Hal was not super familiar with us at that time, but he'd heard a few things, and he wanted to bring Sonic Youth onto his show, Night Music, or the show that he was contributing to. And so, he became a lifelong friend after that, and just so many great projects that we got to be involved with because Hal Wilner was involved. And, he was a very inviting gentleman and so knowledgeable. And he was a COVID casualty, and we miss him. And it's so sad that he's not here with us.
Yeah, he was inspiring to me too because, a lot of people knew him as a musical director, SNL and all that, but he operated on every level of music. Like, he would get together people that would not be, you can kind of attribute the Metallica Lou Reed record to him, but he did so much more. The Stay Awake Disney thing where he literally had Sun Ra doing Disney stuff, and then Night Music itself had just such a disparate cast of characters on every show, and then you intermingle at the end. So you guys had like the Indigo Girls singing I Want to Be Your Dog with David Sanborn on sax, playing with Don Fleming, who's like throwing his flute everywhere. Mm-hmm. Was that in front of a live audience too?
Yeah, there's a bit of a live audience there, but mostly it's the cameras. The live audience at that studio was sort of off to the side.
Yeah, and that's up on YouTube. You could watch that as well, but we had to play that. It was great. And we heard the Strange Fruit track on Top of the Hill. We talked about that as well as the Crucifix. And once again, we are tuned in here on the program. We're digging into the Sonic Youth archives. You can check out Sonic Youth's Bandcamp as well for a lot of this stuff that Steve has been working pretty hard getting up along with the band. We wanted to take a little tour down some of that, but we wanted to play some other stuff that may not have been heard. And coming up next, this is another personal favorite because back in 2014, Steve performed with Lee Ronaldo on my program on WFMU as well. The second session, I believe, we did 2, and this is from the second one in 2014. And the band was called The Dust then. And who was the lineup? It was you guys with Alan Licht and also, who else was in the band? I can't remember.
The bassist Tim Lunsell.
Yes, Tim was in the band as well. And this is a great session. Lee had 2 solo records out right after 2011 when the band split, and this set mostly comprises of that. We'll put a link to that as well, but a really fun cover as well. This is Modern Lovers, She Cracked, and we're gonna hear some other stuff as well, and we'll be back.
Well, she was sensitive. She understood me. She understood the European things from 1943. But she does all these things that I can't stand. I can just sit and see her with a
And this song is for all the old people. Because old is gold. It's called Schizophrenia.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We are back once again. We just heard something from a Paris gig back when you were touring some shows with the Goodbye 20th Century album, kind of taking on 20th century compositions. And you did this at the Olympia Theater, big place, right, in Paris, 2001.
Yeah, it's a beautiful theater there in Paris, and it has an incredible history. I was just looking at the wiki today, and it's out of this world, all the things that have gone on in this theater, but including the Beatles playing for several weeks just before I Want to Hold Your Hand became #1. They were there for a residency, and but Edith Piaf and Serge Gainsbourg and Louis Armstrong, it's pretty amazing.
And I think the JBs unveiled the new lineup for the 70s there too, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you were touring. You had William Wynant on percussion as well.
That's right.
And then Richard Edson joined in too, I think.
Richard Edson was in town, and it was actually oddly the first time I'd ever met him. And I'd been a fan since before I had joined Sonic Youth, so it was great to meet him. And he even played a song with us towards the end of the night. So playing with William Wynant and Richard and there were other special guests there. It was quite a night, and pretty nice to have this one up on Bandcamp. It's very different from everything else that's up there. Like you said, a lot of 20th century composition music. And
around the millennial time, Kim was switching the guitar, so you were playing with you'd been playing with the same rhythm section for so many years. And then Jim O'Rourke came in, and then Mark Ibold later on. How was that to sort of switch up with like varying rhythm sections? I mean, I know you're a very adept player, but as a band, things had really kind of like revamped a lot during the last 10 years of its existence.
Yeah, it was kind of like having 3 different rhythm sections through those years. Because definitely, you know, Kim and I had played together for quite a while, and she got to the point where when she first played with Sonic Youth, she didn't play bass every night, and she wanted to get a bit more of that going on. And so that's one of the things that brought about her playing the electric guitar a little bit more. Yeah. And Jim, of course, can play just about anything, and so he was adept at switching from guitar to bass or synth. And so when Jim would play, it was a bit more melodic and I don't know, like a bit of McCartney and a bit of prog in there. And that was a lot of fun because it made me react and play in a different way. And then later on, when Mark Eybold came along, it was a bit more indie rock and maybe, you know, inspired by Can or you know.
Yeah. Plus, those at the time when you were like, you know, the music was changing. You had to get a whole bunch of new guitars, and you know there was a definite change in the music with the addition of a member. It's a lot more sprawling and dense, I think. You know, later in the years, but you still kept an eye on, you know, playing the older tracks, and you know, even with the new guys, which was pretty cool, I thought. And behind that, we heard Schizophrenia live in Battery Park 2008, I think right around Thurston's birthday, and it was WFMU's 50th birthday, and we had a big show in Battery Park, and the Feelies came out of retirement. It was quite a day, beautiful day, I remember. We broadcast that whole show, and Matador put out a pre-sale LP limited for the Eternal, but that wasn't on it, so I thought we'd throw that on there because it's such a good version. That was a fun gig. Yeah,
I'm glad you picked that one because it's the LP is just a single LP, so they had to cut some of the tunes off, so it's nice that you got Schizophrenia in there.
We heard Star Power Acoustic 2009. Sonic Youth not known to play acoustic a whole lot. A couple Neil Young bridge benefit shows and such. But this was for TV, right?
Yeah, this was for a show called Gossip Girl, which I had not seen up to that point. But we made the recording and while we were on tour in Portland, Oregon, and really loved the recording. And then we had to appear on the show as part of I think like a wedding scene. And
oh yeah, you guys were all dressed up. I remember that.
Yeah, we're dressed up, and then
yeah, it's a great acoustic version, and that song didn't pop up a whole lot in your like millennial gigs, so it was pretty neat to hear.
Yeah, it was difficult to play in '85 or '86 when we made Evol, and so it didn't get put on a lot of set lists back then.
Right on. And then we started off with Lee with The Dust live on my old FMU show doing She Cracked, Modern Lovers. And at this point, we definitely should mention, Steve, you got a new happening band going on, Tape Hiss, who pop that track in there once in a while for good reason. Yeah,
I've been playing with Ernie Brooks for throughout the summer. And we've sort of just been doing outdoor gigs and block parties and things like that, and or patio shows, and we play a couple Modern Lovers tunes, and more so lately we've been focusing on Arthur Russell music, and who Ernie and Peter Zummo, who also plays with us, both had a long history with Arthur, and also a band that Ernie was in with Arthur called The Necessaries.
Great band, and it's street fairs and Hoboken Street Fair last week, and there's an official gig coming up at
next
Mama
Wednesday.
Tried. Coming up at Mama Tried. What's the date on that? I can't remember.
That's the 13th.
13th, yeah. So come down to South Brooklyn and see Tape Hiss if you're in the neighborhood, and say hello. It's going to be a fun time. And
you're going to DJ that night, Brian.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just going to play Electric Avenue over and over.
All right.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, Steve, thanks for checking in. Steve's been out on the road a little bit with Thurston. As we know in these times, there's not a whole lot of touring, but hopefully some more of that is going to be lifted in the time ahead. non-New York folks can catch Steve out there. Let's mention Sonic Youth Bandcamp one more time. You can check it out. And thanks. This was fun. It was good taking a tour through all this stuff, and appreciate your insight into it.
Oh yeah, thank you, Brian.
And once again, check out Steve on Veveno down in Sao Paulo, and we'll talk soon. All right, sounds good.